1. Everyone thinks Bruce Banner became the Hulk because of a gamma explosion. 2. But no one asks why Bruce survived what should have killed him. 3. The answer? He wasn't exposed by accident. He was chosen. 4. Chosen by a secret government program to awaken something buried in his DNA. 5. Something older than gamma, older than Earth. 6. When the Hulk first emerged, S.H.I.E.L.D. erased every witness. 7. The Avengers helped him until they found out the truth. 8. That Hulk wasn't a mutation. 9. He was a host. 10. And now, the thing inside him wants to finish what it started. The gamma test was never a test. The test site was buried in New Mexico desert. Officially, a gamma radiation containment field study. Unofficially, a weaponization program, hidden deep under S.H.I.E.L.D.'s Level 10 secrecy. Bruce Banner stood inside the observation room, watching the countdown begin. He was sweating, not because he was scared, but because he already knew something was wrong. T-minus 10 seconds. In the corner of the lab sat a chamber no one was allowed to access, labeled Seraphim Lock. Inside it, a black, obsidian object no larger than a football, pulsing faint green. It wasn't part of the Gamma Core. It wasn't even from Earth. Banner had tried to ask about it months ago. Nick Fury told him, "You're not paid to ask. You're paid to survive." Bruce hated that answer. But something inside him, something ancient and primal, couldn't stop staring at that object. Every night after the tests, he dreamed about it. He didn't know why. Until the blast. The detonation. The Gamma Core surged. Alarms blared. The containment shield flickered. Then a pulse. Not from the Gamma bomb, but from the Seraphim artifact. The bomb didn't malfunction. It reacted. And Bruce? He didn't run. He didn't even scream. He stepped forward, as if something inside him had been waiting for this moment. The birth of the Hulk. What happened next was wiped from every S.H.I.E.L.D. server. Even Friday, Tony Stark's AI later admitted, there are exactly 6.4 seconds of that footage missing. Someone erased it from reality. But Bruce remembered. The blast hit him. His skin burned green. His blood boiled. And then silence. He woke up 12 miles away, naked, kneeling in a crater. His handprint melted into the ground like fire had kissed stone. The first time it happened, it nearly broke his mind. But the dreams came again that night. This time clearer. A voice. Not human. Not friendly. You are the gate. The Avengers meeting. 3 days later, Bruce was brought to a secure hangar. Waiting inside, Tony Stark, Steve Rogers, Natasha Romanoff, Nick Fury, Thor. Everyone silent. Fury looked tired. We need to talk about what happened. Bruce sat, eyes hollow. You told me it was a radiation test. You didn't tell me the object in the chamber wasn't human tech. Fury didn't blink. Because it wasn't. It was a Kree failsafe. Something buried on Earth during the first invasion wave. Tony raised an eyebrow. Wait, you're saying the gamma pulse wasn't just radiation? Bruce answered softly. It was a key. And I was the lock. The truth spills out. Banner paced. That object, it knew me. Or something inside me. I've run blood tests. There are mutations in my genome that shouldn't exist. Not even mutants have this structure. Steve asked, what are you saying? I think I was born for this. Not by fate, by design. Everyone froze. Bruce continued. My father was part of a 1974 genetics project funded by early S.H.I.E.L.D. They were trying to create gamma-tolerant humans for battlefield survival. Project name, Obsidian Rage. I wasn't supposed to survive the blast. I was supposed to unlock something buried. Why the Avengers turned. Steve stood up. So you're saying you're what? A sleeper weapon. Bruce looked at him and didn't answer. Because deep down, that's exactly what he feared. Tony crossed his arms. We've all been science experiments, Bruce. But if what you're saying is true, then you weren't turned into the Hulk. You were engineered to become it. Fury leaned in. And if this thing inside you is cosmic, alien, or worse, what happens when you're no longer in control? Silence. Bruce walked out. 2 weeks later, the incident. A resistance group in South America uncovered fragments of another Seraphim device. Bruce volunteered to analyze it. S.H.I.E.L.D. refused. So he went anyway. The transmission that came back? Just one line. It's waking up. Then black screen. 3 minutes later, Hulk was spotted in the sky, leaping across the Andes. He wasn't running. He was drawn. The Hulk wasn't just rage anymore. He was a beacon. Avengers Protocol. Contain Banner. Fury initiated Protocol G7. If Banner makes contact with another Seraphim object, detain or neutralize. Steve pushed back. Tony agreed. Natasha went silent. Only Thor seemed to understand. There are creatures that wear humans like masks. If the Hulk is such a thing, then perhaps Banner's soul was never truly alone. Meanwhile, in the ruins, Hulk knelt before the second Seraphim object. It pulsed. Green. Alive. And in his mind, the voice returned. 2 keys, 1 gate remains. Then you return to what you were. Hulk didn't growl. He smiled and whispered, I was never the monster. You were. Hulk opens the gate, and Banner may never return. The Amazon jungle boiled under the heat. Animals fled. Trees shook. The ground cracked in waves. And in the center of it all, the Hulk knelt before a floating green orb, the second Seraphim key, embedded in ancient rock. This was no artifact. This was a lock. And Hulk was the original password. He didn't roar. He didn't smash. He just stared. And the voice inside him whispered again. 1 gate left. Then we come through. The Avengers prepare to intercept. Back at the helicarrier, panic was building. Tony Stark stared at the Seraphim energy signature. It was unlike anything they'd ever seen. Not even the Tesseract came close. This isn't radiation. It's intelligence. Gamma wrapped around a signal. Captain America paced, fists clenched. And Hulk's feeding it. Natasha Romanoff, arms crossed, added quietly. Or it's feeding him. Nick Fury walked in. No jokes. No distractions. We've tracked the third Seraphim signature. It's not on Earth. Everyone froze. It's buried beneath the moon's surface. Shielded for thousands of years. Until now. Bruce contacts the Avengers. One last time. At 3:04 a.m., the helicarrier received a ping. It was Bruce Banner, not Hulk. A shaky transmission. His eyes sunken. Sweating. I can feel it. It's rewriting me. Steve leaned in. Bruce, listen to me. Come back. We can help. No, you can't. This isn't just rage. This is ancient code buried in my cells. Gamma didn't make me Hulk. It activated me. Natasha asked, what does it want? Bruce hesitated. Then whispered, to come home. Through me. The screen went black. The moon gate. Tony, Thor, and Monica Rambeau launched in a stealth shuttle designed for deep shielded entry. Inside the moon crater, they found it. A third Seraphim core, sealed in a sphere of ice. Cracked. Waiting. The symbol on its surface? Not alien. Kree. Thor narrowed his eyes. They've done this before. Monica touched the core, and it lit up. But not green. Purple. She gasped. It's not just a beacon. It's a bridge. Back on Earth, Hulk loses control. In the Amazon, Banner tried to suppress the transformation. He was surrounded by a rescue team sent by the UN. They tried to sedate him, talk him down. One of them mentioned Betty Ross. She's safe. Let us help. That was a mistake, because something inside Bruce had already decided. There was no going back. His eyes turned black-green. The skin cracked. And the jungle shook. The full transformation, not just Hulk. But this time, Hulk wasn't alone. As he roared into the sky, the energy pouring from his chest wasn't just gamma. It was something else. Alien symbols lit across his veins. And his voice? It split. One voice human. One voice ancient. You opened US. You fed US. You are the gate. S.H.I.E.L.D. drones caught it all on camera. This wasn't a Hulk rampage. This was a signal broadcast. The truth is revealed. Back on the moon, Monica decrypted the energy signature from the gate. It was a message, a warning, a countdown. Phase 3 initiated. Host activated. Return imminent. Thor gripped his hammer. They never meant to invade Earth. They meant to build the invader on Earth. Tony looked at the live feed from Earth. Hulk isn't the threat. He's the antenna. Steve makes the call. Captain America knew what had to be done. Initiate Omega Protocol. All global teams, we detain Banner. Dead or alive. Natasha objected. You really think he's gone? No, Steve replied. That's the problem. Bruce is still in there, and he's suffering. But the Council had made its decision. The final encounter, Avengers versus Hulk. A small team was deployed. Iron Man, Captain Marvel, Black Panther, Doctor Strange, War Machine. They found Hulk in the ruins of the Amazon, breathing heavily. The Seraphim gate pulsing beside him. Carol Danvers stepped forward. Bruce, don't make us do this. Hulk looked up. His voice, layered, torn, said, I didn't choose this. Iron Man whispered, then help us stop it. But the Seraphim object ignited. A beam shot upward, piercing the clouds. The final gate had opened. What came through? From the moon to the earth, through the core of Hulk's being, a rip in reality formed. And from it something ancient walked through. 10 feet tall. No eyes. No mouth. Made entirely of gamma shadow. Wearing a cloak of Kree symbols. Doctor Strange gasped. It's not a monster. It's a creator. It looked at Hulk and bowed. End scene, Banner's final words. Amid the chaos, Bruce clawed his way back to the surface of his mind. Tears in his eyes. You were right. I wasn't changed. I was made. And now I remember what I'm supposed to unleash. Tony raised his palm cannon. Steve whispered through comms. Is there anything of Bruce left? No one answered. The Gamma Genesis begins, and Hulk is the fuse. Earth trembled. The rift over the Amazon pulsed with energy not seen since the birth of the Tesseract. The Seraphim gate was fully open. From within the beam, the entity emerged, cloaked in gamma darkness. Kree runes engraved in its flesh. It had no eyes, no mouth, but it spoke to every mind at once. The Genesis begins. The vessel is ready, and all eyes turn to Hulk. Bruce Banner, alive but drowning. Somewhere inside the beast, Bruce Banner clawed through memory and madness. He saw himself as a boy, injected, monitored, studied. Not by accident, by design. He saw S.H.I.E.L.D. agents standing over his crib, his mother crying. He saw his father signing a contract with a Seraphim emblem on it. Bruce wasn't exposed to Gamma. He was bred for it. A walking catalyst for a planetary rewrite called Gamma Genesis. What is Gamma Genesis? In the Avengers briefing room, Monica Rambeau explained it. It's a terraforming protocol, but not for land, for life. It alters every biological structure it touches. The end result? A world of gamma-powered beings. Strong, obedient, hive-linked. Doctor Strange finished the sentence. A new Earth, but not ours. One ready for them. Steve Rogers asked quietly, and Hulk's role? Monica swallowed. He's not the cause. He's the ignition key. The clock starts ticking. The Seraphim entity extended a hand toward Hulk. With one touch, the sky fractured green. Across Earth, dormant gamma pockets, from radiation sites to satellite cores, began to react. Reports flooded in. Gamma waves in Africa. Mutation clusters in Seoul. A S.H.I.E.L.D. base in Antarctica gone. And in every location, a single word was etched into stone by the energy itself. Begin. Inside Hulk's mind, a war of wills. Within the chaos, Bruce stood in a void, staring at the Hulk version of himself. Towering, furious, glowing. But behind Hulk stood the Seraphim version of Hulk. Larger, not human, ancient. The true form of what the experiment had unlocked. Bruce shouted, "You're not me." The Seraphim Hulk spoke in echoes. "We are what you were born to become. Stop resisting, and we will spare your world." Bruce stepped forward. If I was made to destroy Earth, then I'll destroy the machine that made me. And he ran straight at them. The Avengers' last shot. Back in the real world, Hulk stood motionless beneath the entity's beam. Strange summoned a containment spell. Captain Marvel flew in with enough force to level a moon. Thor hurled Mjolnir, supercharged with lightning from 3 realms. The beam held. The entity didn't flinch, and Hulk began to rise into the air, drawn like a magnet toward the Seraphim core. Tony's voice cracked over comms. "If Banner's still in there, now's the time to wake up, big guy." Nothing. The betrayal. Suddenly, Black Widow appeared. Not from the Quinjet. From the shadows. But this wasn't Natasha. This was her variant. A clone created from Project Obsidian. Sent by Val, the Rogue Council director. She shot Strange in the back. Cut Carol with a vibroblade laced with gamma disruptor. Then smiled. "You thought this was about Hulk. But it was about what Hulk opens." She tapped her wrist. "Time to activate the override." Override protocol. Merge. The Seraphim entity placed its palm on Hulk's forehead. His body arched, and the world began to change. Trees turned neon green. Animals mutated into armored beasts. Oceans foamed with gamma light. Gamma Genesis was starting, and there were only minutes left before it went planet-wide. Bruce's last stand inside. Inside his mind, Bruce was bloodied, limping, but standing. He looked at the Seraphim Hulk. "You used me, but you forgot something." "What?" Bruce smiled. "I've been angry my whole life, but I never let it win." He slammed his fist into the void. And in that moment, the real Hulk, the one who'd fought beside the Avengers, roared through his chest. Back to reality, the reversal. The sky snapped. The beam shattered. And Hulk dropped to the ground, awake, confused, covered in ash. He looked up at the Seraphim entity. "I'm not your gate." And then, he punched the entity with all his might. The shock wave shattered trees for miles. The entity screamed without sound, folding back into the rift it came from. Strange, barely conscious, closed the portal with one final spell. The aftermath. The world was silent. Mutations across the planet began reversing. Gamma storms dissipated. Hulk stood breathing heavy, his skin still glowing faintly. Steve approached. "Bruce, are you back?" He nodded, weakly. "I remembered who I am." Final scene. But is it over? In a dark chamber, deep in space. Another Seraphim core lit up. Then another. Then 5 more. A distorted voice said. One host resisted. "Next time we bring 10. Hulk's last choice, lock the gate or live free. The Earth was quiet again. But it was the kind of silence that came after a scream, like the planet was still holding its breath. Bruce Banner sat on a cliff outside the Amazon, staring into the green horizon, watching the last of the gamma storms fade. Thor landed beside him. No hammer. No words. Just presence. "You stopped it," Thor said finally. Bruce didn't look up. For now. Because deep inside, Hulk was still humming. And far beyond the sky, the Seraphim cores were still lighting up. The Council's final secret. At a hidden Avengers outpost, Monica Rambeau decrypted the final file from Project Obsidian. Her hands shook as she read it aloud to Steve and Tony. The Hulk protocol was never about defense. It was phase 1 of a larger plan, to turn Earth into a controlled gamma world under SHIELD command. Steve's jaw clenched. They planned to turn people into weapons. They built Banner for this. Tony added grimly. And when it got out of hand, they buried it under lies. Steve turned to Monica. "Can we stop the other cores?" She hesitated. "Only if someone seals them from the other side." One last mission. There was only one way to close the multiversal gamma rift, and to the core, detonate the seal from within, and trap the Seraphim signal forever. But once done, there would be no way back. Strange prepared the spell. It'll have to be someone connected to the original gamma key. Someone the system recognizes as host. Everyone turned toward Bruce. He already knew. It was always going to be me. The farewell. Before he left, Bruce stood with the team one last time. Steve offered his hand. You were never a monster, Bruce. Bruce smiled softly. No, but I carried one, so no one else had to. Tony smirked. Make sure you break something expensive on the way out. Natasha's photo sat in Bruce's pocket. He didn't say goodbye, just looked up at the portal and stepped through. Inside the core, the other side wasn't space. It was memory, rage, power, all swirling into a storm of thought. Bruce saw versions of himself, lost, mutated, cloned, rewritten. He saw the Seraphim entity once more. You would imprison yourself to stop us. Bruce calm answered. You built me for war, but I chose peace. He opened his palm. Strange spell ignited. And peace takes sacrifice. He smiled and triggered the seal. Earth, 1 minute later. The sky flared bright green, then blue, then clear. All rift signals vanished. Gamma levels dropped. The Seraphim network was gone. And Bruce? Gone with it. 6 months later, in a school science lab in Queens, a kid spilled chemicals across a keyboard. It short-circuited. Suddenly, the screen flashed green. One line appeared. I'm still here. But then it faded. Was it a glitch? A memory? Or something waiting? The monster we buried, the man we lost. 6 months later, New York City had healed, mostly. No gamma storms. No anomalies. No Hulk sightings. But the Avengers felt the absence. Not just of Bruce Banner, but of the man who carried the burden no one else could. At the memorial, a quiet crowd gathered at a Hidden Shield facility, now declassified. Steve Rogers stood at the podium, his voice steady, but tired. Bruce wasn't just the mind behind the science. He was the first one to ask if power should exist at all. He paused, then looked down. And when that power turned on him, he didn't run. He held it for all of us. Behind him, a statue of Bruce, not Hulk, was unveiled, wearing a lab coat. No muscles, no rage, just human. Below it, the words, not a monster, not a mistake, a guardian. The world rebuilds. With the Seraphim threat neutralized, gamma levels across Earth fell below danger levels. Mutations reversed. Cities rebuilt. The world quietly stepped away from the edge of extinction, never knowing how close it came. Tony Stark released a public archive, exposing SHIELD's old experiments. The people were angry, shocked, but no one protested the destruction of the Seraphim core network. They wanted to believe in heroes again, and Hulk had reminded them, heroes still existed. In the shadows, a new threat, but not all was at peace. In the ruins of an old gamma site in Siberia, a group of mercenaries found a broken Seraphim shard. Still glowing, still alive. One of them touched it and screamed. He didn't die. He changed. His skin turned green. His eyes glowed yellow. And somewhere in the sky, a ripple passed. Like the universe noticed. Hulk was gone. Meanwhile, somewhere else, in a realm with no time, no stars, and no sound, a shadow walked across the void. Not screaming, not smashing, just existing. It was Hulk, but calmer, older, focused. Bruce Banner's voice echoed through the silence. I don't know where I am, but I know this. As long as I'm here, they can't use me again. Then he sat, cross-legged, eyes closed, and for the first time in years, he rested. Final scene, back on Earth. A kid in Harlem was walking home from school when he tripped. Before he hit the ground, a hand caught him. Large, strong, gentle. The kid looked up. A man in a hoodie nodded, helped him up, and vanished into the crowd. On the back of the man's hand, a faint green glow. Green circle end of story arc.